Tell me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul?
Trying to find my soul.
Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier.
Street soldier.
Here to help you get that chip off your shoulder, warm your colder days and sober your drunken ways, and find a way to help you get over these hurdles placed in our path. And this is not meant to amuse you. This is for all those who have questions but are afraid to ask.
I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. No. When times get hard, you lose your way. Open your mind and hear what I say.
This is a message for the hard and the soft. To those who tune in weekly and to those who keep an eye out for 8 p.m. on Sundays and turn their radios off. The truth hurts. The cloth has been pulled. We're walking around half dead. Use this show as your IV. Alive and Free is a new movement. We've achieved self-destruction. A street soldier promotes self-improvement.
Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah.
Look at all these faces on the Zoom. Couple I don't know, most I do know, and welcome all of you to our open Black first Black History Month show of 2021, and we're gonna have a conversation about Blackness and some questions that we want to ask you. We began this conversation, Lady Estelle, at class on Tuesday. It turned into woof. So I don't necessarily want to recreate that, but we brought in some of the people who were with us on Tuesday night, our Leadership Academy high school students. And to them, I have added 4 collegians, 2 of whom I know and 2 of whom I don't. So as I say your names, just raise your hand. Mekdes Clark, Mekdes, raise your hand. All right, there you are. I thought that was you. Kymber Gastinell. Where's Kymber? There she is. Okay. Ahlaya Martin. There you are, Ahlaya. Okay. Jaylyn. What's up, girl? Okay. Jyairrah. I said it right the first time. Yeah. Jyairrah Martin. Markeyla. There you are. All right. The 2 that I have not yet met. Sanae Wolf. Where is Sanae? Is Sanae there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay, see, sometimes everybody can't fit on my screen because I'm on my Layla Alexander. Hi, Layla. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Malcolm Mobley. What's up, Malcolm? And Darious Howard. Okay, you can see I brought y'all in, just to balance it out. I got to have some brothers in the house, so y'all gonna have to But you know how it is. It's a family. I'm the oldest of, I have a big family. I have 5 girls and 4 boys. Sometimes it works out that way. All right. Thank you all for joining us. And a couple of you are back east. The 2 are back east. Raise your hand. I know Malcolm's back east and Layla is back east. And both Layla and Sanae are at the University of San Francisco in the BASE program. And we have had them on the show before. And obviously, Ann, I have a strong kinship with USF's BASE for a bunch of reasons. My alma mater, I think my name is stuck on there somewhere in the program. Okay, so this is it's not quite a free-for-all, but just jump in. The first thing we wanted to explore, and we did it so, and Lady Estelle, where are you? Lady Estelle, just talk about the class we did Tuesday night and how you come up with these lessons. And you started this before, and I wanted to sort of bring this to the, what we do in the class. So this was your lesson you put together and caught you by surprise. I love doing it when I catch you by surprise. You be like,
yes, I slept since Tuesday, So let me just put somebody else on the spot. Somebody that can.
Cold.
Yes. So one of you who were in class on Tuesday, tell me what you remember. Don't make me have to call on you.
Us, the things that we liked about being Black and the things that we disliked and the stereotypes that come with it. We also talked about the history of Black History Month and what it means to us.
Okay.
That's a good start.
So thank you, Ahlaya. All right, great job. And I like that Jyairrah's like, whew, thank goodness it wasn't me. You're next, baby. So what did you think about that conversation? Jyairrah and then Mekdes.
I thought the conversation went really, really, really well. We started on the surface of like, like the violence depicted in our neighborhoods and things like that. As the conversation progressed, we kind of got into this woman.
Let it progress. Don't even say it. We're going to let it progress. Because a bunch of people that wasn't here, and I don't want to put things in their head because I want to be as fresh for them as it was for you.
Okay.
Let's do
so
that.
It started on the surface and then it went deeper. And so I want you to know that that's how we work. We need and want you to go deeper because that's what's real. And oftentimes, a question is asked and the answer is typically what one thinks the adults want to hear. But what we want to hear is what's really in there. And so, yes, we started out with what makes you feel good about being Black? What are you proud about? And then what are you not so proud about?
So we will start there. And let me just say one other thing. I did a keynote last Wednesday for De Anza College's Black History program. And the title of the event, the program was Young, Gifted, and Black Finding Your Voice. And it was really magnificent because I had just been listening to you on Tuesday night, giving your voice. And we always encourage you to, because you're all young, gifted, and Black, and use your voice. And that's what we are asking of you tonight. So here we go. We begin again. We'll wipe the slate clean for those of you who were there the other night. But our first question begins with, as we begin Black History Month, what's good about being Black? And I got my pen. Who wants to start? Start talking, y'all.
I think what I love about being Black is the diversity, like where you can be so many different things. We're never just stuck in this one box. We're doctors and we're teachers and we're leaders. And I love that about our community.
Okay, everybody get one. I tell you, then we'll go back and get 2, 3, 4, 5. Next, go. Anybody, start, talk.
I love the resilience that comes with being Black. I think we started off, well, not started off, because I think
Ahlaya disappeared. Oh. There she is.
Sorry. Okay. My bad. I was about to say we started off, I accidentally was about to say we started off with slavery, but we didn't. I feel like the first kind of turning point was that, but I think that's where we started. Then we went into the civil rights era and then now, and it's like we continue to see us progress and really break, I guess, like the shackles that were placed onto us.
All right, we got diversity, we got brilliance. Somebody else, what's good about being Black? Come on, y'all.
I would have to say our influence. Anytime you see a Black person or any trend or anything on social media or even outside of social media, it came from a Black person's concept, idea, whatever it is. It's just our influence. It's infectious. And if you deny it, you're lying to yourself. So I love our influence.
And to connect to Kymber, I love our culture. Nobody has culture like us. And it connects to Mekdes in the diversity. We have such a diverse culture, from the music to the style to the way we talk to the way we walk. Nobody does it like us.
Nobody.
Okay, I'm waiting. All right, Sanae, you sitting there smiling. Go. Your turn. I heard a lot about you. I want to hear what you.
I just love the pride because, like what everybody else was saying, the strength that we get from our ancestors and how rich our history is. Like, I just love the feeling of knowing that I belong to such like a rich community and that everything that I need is already in me because of all my, like the strength and endurance of my ancestors. So yeah, there's so much to love about being Black.
You know, I'm gonna have to just jump in, Sanae. You said, did I say your name right? Sanae, okay. You said everything that I need is already in me.
I wrote that down.
And I need you to know just how true that is. And remember to remember that when things get tough, when it's not so easy, when you wonder what in the world is going on. And now what do? I'm going to tell you, the first thing you do is reach in and then go deeper, because the answer's in there. Let me also say that there's a new word that it's not new, but I'm hearing it's influencer. You hear that? Influencer. And that is, we have always been that. So it's really not new. Not new at all. Okay, Jaylyn, it's time for us to hear from you.
Okay, so I kind of freaked out and wrote a whole paragraph, so I'll just try to read
okay. That's what I used to do.
I like how we have some of the most talented athletes and artists in our society. Black people have to work 10 times harder just to be noticed, and I feel like that caused the Black community to have so many talented people. Like, we've created so many huge music genres like jazz, R&B, and hip hop, and the list goes on. We even created some of the most popular dancing styles. I could go on all day about how talented and influential Black people are, but unfortunately, I feel like this rooted from the lack of recognition that we have. And I mean, oh, sorry, I kind of lost my spot. And that's like one of the things I like about it. Oh my gosh, did I get? Okay, so when we come across, oh my gosh.
No, okay, Jaylyn, you just keep going. You do not need to apologize. Pause and keep going.
Okay. So, which is why whatever we do, we make sure that we're good at it, and because we want to be seen. And that's what I like the most about being Black. When we come across a barrier, we work 10 times harder to get past it.
Okay, good job. Great job. Remember, you don't let me just take a moment and say, right in the middle of it, don't say, oh, I'm sorry, because you just drew attention. Pause. And then get back to it. Just stop, pause, take a breath, and get back to it. Okay? All right.
Okay, Layla, your turn. You up late, wherever you. Wait, where are you, Layla? I'm curious.
I'm in New York.
New York. All right. Yeah. It was 1 o'clock there. 11. What time was it? 11, 12 o'clock. All right.
What I was saying was that I think that our resilience from the past years, and especially going through slavery and going through all that, and what we are able to like pull off. And someone else had said it in regards to artistry, rappers, and so forth. Like, I think that we're at the top. We don't have to be, but we are. Like, we've managed to pull through everything we've gone through, being, taken from our homes in Africa, and going through all the stuff that we go through in this country to still, still be at the top. Like, that's amazing to me.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Who hasn't had a chance to say what's good about being Black? Has everybody said something?
I haven't gone yet. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you, baby.
Okay. Basically, it's how we had to fight for our history and how our ancestors had to struggle for us to be where we are, and how now, as a community, we're able to come together and fight for our rights and what we believe and how we deserve to be treated, and how we're able to come together as one against these forces that have been built against us, and how we're able to go try to rebuild something that we deserve. And yeah.
Darius? What's up, bro? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. What I love about being Black is the camaraderie that we show and that we showcase, day in and day out. Whenever we come together, we always get the job done. Like you said, I'm a collegiate, so I go to Clark Atlanta University. And when I first stepped foot on campus, it was nothing but that. It was nothing but love, and I gained a lot of brothers and sisters who helped me, along my academic career. So that's what I love about being Black.
Malcolm.
Hey everybody. I love the fact that that Black people, that we're the first. Not necessarily that we're better than anybody, but we are the oldest.
Mm.
We produce, some of the first, like the, longest lasting civilizations, and the community. Like Darius was just saying, I had a very similar experience at my school. I go to Morgan State University. When I first showed up there, everybody was like, "Why you come from California to Baltimore of all places?" I was like, "There's no HBCU." They said, "Oh, you came over here for that HBCU love." I was like, "Yeah," but yeah, the community and the fact that we're the first.
Anybody else who hasn't had the first chance to say something? Bree, you haven't said nothing, Bree.
I know, I was letting the kids, say what they had to say. Sorry.
Oh, listen to her, Mrs. Steph. She's letting the kids.
Yeah, it took her a minute, but she's finally not one of the kids.
I think, I don't want to mess up her name, but I think it was Sanae.
Yes.
I think Sanae said it, but just going back what she was saying, how much like we just come from spirituality, right? Everywhere we go, we're always protected by our orishas, and it's in our aura, it's in our blood, it's part of our skin, so, and that's one thing that white folks did not want us to know about, is how much we come from spirituality and like royalty, and how powerful we are and everything. Yes, we have our weak moments, but we can always go back to where we came from, and we'll be there.
Bree, I got to say this because I comment on this every time I see you each week, just about one of the things that came up in Tuesday, which none of you have said yet, which you might say if you come, but I got to say that when we were talking, somebody said, I don't know who it was, they said, our hair. Boy, they said, what do we love about being Black? Our hair. And they went on and on about our hair. Bree, would you concur with that?
Oh yeah, we're very versatile.
I know you would. I know you would.
I was gonna say that, but I mean the spirituality part, that's like, again, we come from that. So that's where our ancestors did, and most of us are doing it right now, like me.
Maybe you could talk about that journey a little bit, maybe as we move further on into the show. Anybody who hasn't had a chance, your opening statement about what's good about being Black. I got to throw one in because this was a discovery for me growing up. Yeah. You know what I found out was good about being Black? Melanin. I didn't know anything about melanin until I read a book about this is gold. Did I just say that? This is vibranium. Did I just say that? But I didn't know it. Melanin is something wonderful that nobody, we possess that. But I always thought it was like, well, anyway, I don't want to go back in my history because I was raised back then and I didn't learn nothing. But melanin, I will add that to the list of what's good about being Black. Anybody else got something to add? Go ahead. Before we move on, maybe I should tell them to take their cameras, their thing off, because I want them to jump in like they do in class, Mrs. Hill, because remember, we're on television. It's not like, everybody's watching. You can't miss something. Maybe you should just take your what they call it?
The mute button.
The mute, yeah. Take the mute
right,
off.
but they can be prepared because background music. So what we like for you to do is be ready.
Yeah.
Have your finger on your mouse, ready to unmute at a moment's notice. It's like money. You don't want to miss it.
Anything else anybody want to add about what's good about being Black? All right.
I do agree with Brianna, right?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I do agree. We do come from spirituality, and I hope that more of our Black people could get in touch with that.
All right.
I want to ask.
Go ahead.
I also just love like our Black literature, and somebody already touched on it, but our music and just kind of the creativity, like Black art is really amazing. So I also just wanted to add that.
All right. I think we have exhausted that one. Lady Estelle, you ready for the next one?
Sure.
Then we moved on to question number 2 was, what's not good about being?
I dislike how usually we're judged by off how one Black person does something. I think that's an issue that we see a lot, that if one Black person makes a mistake, it's all of a sudden, oh, this is why they've been treated like this and they're animals. And I think we don't see that with other races, but it's kind of a way to continuously oppress us by bringing up a mistake of one person.
Okay. All right. Next. Go ahead, D.
Just to piggyback off that, I would just have to say, like, if you're not on Twitter and you don't see this, it's a constant thing every day. It could be a video, like it was a video of these two ladies. I guess they did something with a birthday party with these Latino people, and it was so many anti-Black comments in there regarding just Black people. Period. It was just disgusting, and it was like, why are y'all doing this? Like, you got to look past that. Like, every Black person is not like that. And the thing is, we checked our own people, yet the Latinos were not checking their own. We was like, okay, that's wrong. So we confronted them and was like, you guys shouldn't do that because that was somebody else's birthday party. But instead, the Latinos was like, nah, like, we're gonna be anti-Black. Black lives matter, don't matter. This is why they get treated like this. And it's like every time a Black person does something, Black lives don't matter. Like, how does that work? You can't do that. Like, you just, the switch up is consistent. It's consistent, and Twitter shows it, and it's just like, it's just crazy. So I completely agree with that. These stereotypes, everybody's being anti-Black against us whenever one incident happens. It's crazy. It's disgusting, and that's something I don't like.
I like the word you use, crazy and disgusting. Someone else, what's not good about being Black?
A few things in our community. I feel like there's a huge sexism culture and also toxic masculinity. I'm not sure how to get deeper into that.
Well, yeah. You can't just drop that on us.
Let's talk about that one.
Go on, keep moving with that. What do you mean by that?
Well, okay, so like in my family, there's like a lot of toxic masculinity. Like the men in my family feel like they have a certain job or a role in this family. Like, I mean, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. Let's see. Sorry, 1 second.
You're describing it, and in your description, that description gives us clarity. So the men that you see in the family or some Black men that you've seen, they have a certain role. What and tell me about that. More about that.
Oh, okay. So I feel like they're not. They feel like they need to be tough. They feel like they need to be tough all the time. Mm-hmm. They have to like there's just like certain personality traits that they just try to be like super masculine. Mm-hmm. Like they can't. I don't know. Like they're just like super insecure about it too. I mean, not all Black men, but like some. They're like super insecure. They're like on gender, I guess.
Okay.
Well, certainly enough for you to say that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Good job.
All right. Next.
I think that comes from like the same thing that I was saying that's good about being Black. Like I think that it comes from the fact that we need to be strong. Like, and we are, but there comes a point where like we're human. We emote. Black men can cry, and that's like when it seeps into toxic masculinity because it's like Black men aren't taught that they can cry, and they should be, because white men cry and so forth, and it's fine. But like when it comes to our community, we need to be strong, especially for the Black men and women as well, to the point where she's kind of like stripped of her humanity, like she's handed so much pain, but she's expected to be fine at the end of the day. So I think that even through our resilience, like it's still a flaw within us and within the way like non-Black people treat us.
Jumping off from that, I think a big reason that happened is like the lack of mental health resources in the Black community. If went to therapy more, then toxic masculinity wouldn't be as rampant in the community. But it's so there's like a stigma behind it, so then people feel like they're weak if they do go to therapy.
I definitely agree. Something that I don't like about being Black is like the internal hate and how we put that on each other. None of my family has been to college, and because I want to pursue higher education, like I'm whitewashed, or I'm not black, or I'm not good enough. You know what I'm saying? As if we can't be educated in black, as if blackness doesn't mean, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean we can't pursue higher education. You know what I'm saying? What, how we've dehumanized ourselves in our society, taking from how other people dehumanized us.
I'm writing all this down. Ooh,
I think for me, and jumping off of Jyairrah's point, I've been called whitewashed so many times just based off the fact I decided to pursue a career that a lot of Black people are not in. I've been called whitewashed by some close friends, and it's just the concept of what the heck is being whitewashed? Because I decided to talk the way I talk because I like to do, like, what is whitewash? And I think that plays a large role into many people's insecurity of being Black. And I think that's like one of the main problems. And then another issue I feel like within the Black community that we need to really focus on is the concept of colorism. It's so bad. It's worse now than I thought maybe when I was back in high school. I feel like it's worse with the social media, especially. I think when Black men tend to say, and no offense to any Black men on here, no offense, but I'm gonna keep it real. When Black men love to say that they don't like Black women, but they go outside their race and they get a girl to get the Black features and the Black woman attitude and start to perpetuate the stereotypes that we have worked so hard to break down, that's a big problem.
Kymber, I gotta ask you, you said it's worse. And I know Bree's been with us for a while, and that was one of the she's seen things she has brought up in the past. Why is it worse? Is it worse because of, so, I mean, when you say worse, why do you say worse?
I feel like it's worse just because of the way technology works, you know? And I feel like when everybody talks about how good technology is, however, there's still this negative viewpoint that a lot of people don't talk about. You can go on TikTok or Instagram or Snapchat, and there's going to be a whole debate on colorism, and people are in the comments making fun of someone who's dark-skinned, and they don't find her pretty or they don't find her beautiful. And it be your own people just saying in the comments, and that's where it's just like, how? And I kind of think about it in the sense where if we know our history and how things were set up, literally they did this during slavery. They broke people down based off of skin color. So it's just, it's kind of like the irony in the situation. I just feel like social media and certain technology and apps kind of play a role into it.
Okay.
With Kymber, because living in the Bay Area, we're very diverse communities. So you get a whole bunch of colors. You have Black, white, Mexican, mixed, all of that. And whenever I have conversations with Black men about colorism, they affirm light skin privilege even more and call me sensitive when I'm speaking on, you know, my issues with them, you know, being negative towards me and my dark skin, but they're dark skin as well. So it's definitely, and I see a lot too, like in hip hop culture too. Like hip hop culture is a big thing with Black people. So in these lyrics, in this music, rappers are, you know, talking about how they want a red bone, they want a light skinned girl, but then I don't know, they go ahead and dog Ari Lennox and call her a dog, or you know, they just go ahead and like just roast dark skinned Black women all the time. So it's definitely gotten worse too. And like I agree, like with social media and just the environment and hip hop culture is where we see it a lot the most.
Okay, thank you.
Red bone means a light complected woman.
Ladies, there was an artist that made a light skin anthem called Yellowbone is what he wants.
Are you serious?
Yes, she did.
And that's not a new term, by the way. It's just
okay. Well, new for this one. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Continue. What's not good? By the way, let me just say this. I consider us, we're not a program. We're a family. This is family talking about issues. So bring all the issues out that exist in our Black family. That's the way, the spirit of this whole thing. What else? Not good about being Black?
Something that I think.
My bad.
You can go ahead. I was gonna talk about accountability. How in our community we like to hold a lot of, like, with Black Lives Matter going on, we like to hold a lot of cops accountable for killing Black people. But when it comes to people in our community, like with the violence that we see every day, we don't like to hold those who kill us, like everyone in our community, we don't like to hold them accountable for their actions. Like if somebody snitched, they're like, we just like, we exclude them from the community, and we don't like to hold each other accountable for our actions.
Markeyla, you said something that a lot of folks don't even like people saying. Go ahead, girl. That's why I like talking to young people, because I get into the adults. They don't want to, don't tell nobody. Keep it in the, you know. I appreciate that. All right, who is next? Sanae, were you next?
I was just gonna say, it's definitely like people try to limit like what you can do and who you can be when you're Black. Like they think there's only one way that you can be Black, and that's frustrating to deal with. But more than anything for me, it's like the treatment of Black women, like in high school and even like younger than that. Like Black women are over policed and like expected to behave in a certain way, and like just treated and looked at differently than some of our counterparts, even when we don't do anything like differently. It's simply just off the way that we look and the fact that we are Black, and it's such a frustrating thing to have to deal with, and then carrying that burden as a Black woman along with like other things that we have to deal with. So that's just one of the frustrating things that comes with it.
Anybody want to add anything?
Yeah, to go off of that, I definitely think the whole stereotype of being a strong Black woman, I get it, but if I gotta cry, I gotta cry. If I gotta scream, I gotta scream. Let me bear my emotions and let me handle them accordingly, and then I'll get back to business. I think that whole concept of being so strong that I can't bear my emotions, and if I do, it's not okay, and I'm deemed whatever I'm deemed, like I'm deemed in a negative aspect. I think that stereotype, or whatever you want to call it, alone is something I don't like. And then also, I think the crab in the bucket mentality, I mentioned it Tuesday. That's something I personally don't like within our community. I don't like how there's so many people that literally lost their lives to best friends because of jealousy. Like, it's just something I feel like we could work on that a whole lot better. If one makes it, we all make it. Why do we have to always kind of pull each other down when one makes it? I think it should see, if anybody has a success story, it should just be all of our success story.
Yeah,
I think that also goes back to the Willie Lynch speech, and how like this was instilled into us, like for the Black man to be weak and depend on the woman to be strong and to divide the household. Just small little things, you can see that that we continue till this day was made to, you know, keep us down. And it's like, it's not being broken, it's continuing as a generational curse that, you know, is just getting worse.
Would you call it generational trauma, or am I throwing words in your mouth?
That's a better word, generational trauma.
That works.
Both do. Both do. In addition to the curse, the trauma. As a result of the curse, therein is the trauma. And it is generational, so they both work.
I'm going to throw one in, and it's akin to what you're saying, and I don't hear a lot of men say this, that, you know, I don't like the man code. There is actually a man code with Black men. Did y'all know that? Yeah. I mean, we don't talk about it, but there is a man code that we're supposed to act a certain way. I mean, you refer to it that way, but we're not supposed to do this, we're not supposed to a certain way, so that, and that is, carrying that is difficult, because when I end up talking to young Black men about this, they but it's something they don't talk about. They just act it out. And it's difficult to have conversations about, and it's come out lately in, we call it the mask, you know, the mask that men wear. that are detrimental to us. I'm saying this because I don't hear a lot of times men saying this, especially young men and older men, that is detrimental as to the way we treat ourselves and treat others. So there's actually a film out about it called The Mask You Live In, which some of you may have seen, which when you get on this particular subject, and then of course this affects the women. So I'm gonna throw this in as some I don't like, but I want to add that to the list of things I don't like about being Black in that sense.
Yeah, which is also like another example of toxic masculinity. Black men feeling like they can't really go out and talk to somebody.
Oh, we ain't supposed to cry. I mean, it's like, period. I mean, you know, I mean, and everybody gives us that message. So we start that way. And since I haven't heard that, I want to throw that in because I grew up in that. And, you know, those are things you have to unlearn, but you just think it's, hey, I'm a man. I'm trying to be a man. This is where I'm supposed to act, right?
I mean, that kind of like goes in like, you know, when you work like, you know, at a all white company, you know, in corporate, you have to act a certain way because, you know, if you, I don't know, come in quiet or if you come in not saying anything, you're going to be assumed or perceived the wrong way. Oh, that person's having an attitude. Oh, this person is mad. Like, you know, so it's almost like we have to do things in order to benefit the white people and make them comfortable, but it's making us uncomfortable. So.
Well said. Let me ask about, oh, Mrs. Stell's getting ready to jump in.
Oh my goodness. That is so true. Oh, it just makes me go, a lifetime of, this may sound crass, and I don't mean it to sound crass. It's just been my experience. And I've had a lot. But to go into corporate, see, before I was a teacher and working in a nonprofit, I worked in the private sector. I spent a lifetime in the private sector. And it was important. And what I was told, quote unquote, don't scare the white people. And I worked in
they actually told you that, right?
In Kansas City, where the population was Black and white or white and Black. And so to get into corporate, you know, and I did, and I wore power suits, if you know what I mean. I looked like Kamala every day.
That's pretty good.
Okay. Every day. You know, I was in corporate and I was in charge of a lot of things, a lot of people. But my number one thing that I was reminded, don't scare the white people. Because if you scare them, they will go after you. And if they go after you to destroy you. Mm-hmm. I mean, and that, you know, so to hear that, this is 2021. You were what, 25 maybe? You'll have to say, but I'm just saying. And to hear that after spending all that, and it's like, still, you've got to learn how to do the dance, you know, to say what needs to be said, to do oh my goodness, I got good at it. Being able to say what I needed to say, to do what I need to do, you know, and before they knew that they were scared, the damage I had already, but oh my goodness, it's just so true. And it's just, so if you want to know how to get through corporate, call me. I know how to get through. I know how to deal with corporate.
Still learning, but yeah.
I want to turn to another one, but I just want to read some of the things that you said so far, what you don't like about being Black. Lack of individuality, stereotypes, sexism and toxic masculinity, the mask that, in this case, Black men wear, the lack of mental health services, how we treat each other and dehumanize each other, colorism, the lack of accountability, crabs in a bucket mentality, generational curse and trauma, I'm gonna add, because it's akin to one of the ones that were here. Again, this is a family talking. We collude in our own oppression. That's a phrase I've come up for years ago when I watched the young people that I work with sell drugs and destroy the community. And they justified it. You know, they had to do what they got to do. And then they actually, so I use the phrase, we collude in our own oppression. Let's talk about the names that we call each other. That came up a little bit on Tuesday night, and I'm always interested in that. We have a long history of names that we have used for each other. And I mean, I have a feeling about these names. I know Lady Stella has a feeling about these names. But and I mentioned this on Tuesday, the term I have heard lately, and let's go to, I've heard a lot the term king and queen. I see posts all the time, and I say, yeah, and I see individuals calling each other, you know, especially women, hey, queen. And I see a lot on LinkedIn. It says queens, and I know there's one therapist, and she's always talking about, you know, find the king in you and find the kings. Do you guys use those terms? I'm just, Ms. Steph, yes.
Before I'm just pressed. Before you share that, I need you to just to recap and to think about what you said earlier. The things that we love about ourselves, about our people, and the things that we don't like about our people. And remember the things that we love about us that build us up, that natural gift, those natural gifts that we have. Remember, hold on to that. And then what we don't love is not only the things that we do to hurt one another, it's also the things that are done to us. I need us to really hear what we dislike is what's done to us that we can't control. And then what we do to one another that we can control.
Do you want me to
start out into this Black History Month? For those of you who can hear me, think about your participation in the things that you do to hurt people who look like you. The things that we participate in that hurt people who look like us, and to say no to that. And then the things that we love about us, that we begin to do more of that for one another.
Do you want me to read that the first list, or is
no? I mean, because you already know.
Okay.
He doesn't need to go over it again, does he?
All right.
No. But I just need us to be conscious of that, if that makes sense. Okay.
Okay. King and queen, I hear that a lot. How many of you use that, and tell me why you use it? Or do any of you use it at all?
I use queen. I think it's like a word of endearment, kind of like a sisterhood. I think especially kind of going off about women and Black women and how we're facing a lot of like hardship. I guess I kind of look at queen as like uplifting, like you're kind of coming and like emphasizing on someone's beauty or someone's, just like, I don't know, it's just like something that I say just like as like a sister, like uplifting.
Like a sister, I like that. Okay. Anybody else use it?
Yeah, I use it all the time. I use queen and king. King for like all of my male friends or my like close guy family members. I use it to them when they're doing things that they're supposed to be doing and not supposed to be involved with. My sister and I call each other queen all the time. My old Instagram name was like queen for the longest time because I thought of myself as royalty and I should be treated as such.
Oh.
So that's why I use queen.
Again, is it uplifting in the spirit that you use the word?
Yeah, it's very uplifting. So to refer to yourself as any type of royalty and you're Black, that's like totally hands down the best thing ever.
I like it. Okay. Yeah, I've just seen it more and more often. And I was, I didn't see that. I've seen a bunch of other words also. Anybody else use either of those terms? Just a couple people here.
I use it a lot. I use it more casual. Like my friend Anta, she just got selected for like Youth of the Year. Well, not really. But I was like, yes, queen stuff, and then just stuff like that. It's more casual.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. And all of you. Okay. I think I got the age range here. Are there any other names that you guys that we call each other that we can any that you use directed toward each other?
I use sis a lot. Like
use what?
Sis, like sister. Sis.
Okay. And why do you use that?
Cause it's just cute, like, hey sis, you know, like it's just, I don't know, like whenever I say it to like my girlfriends and everything, it's always like, oh hey, like it feels good, like you feel welcomed. It feels like a family member type of thing, you know.
Do you use brother too or just sis?
I use sis to the men too. It's gender neutral.
Do you really?
Yes.
I'm just asking.
No, I definitely do though. And they're just like, hey, like, what are you gonna say after that? Like
Okay. So what terms do the rest of you use when you address each other? Y'all use terms?
Normally like variations of brother, like bruh or bro. You know, that's generally all I use. But as far as king and queen go, I think that came from like people becoming more conscious and aware of like using the N word and the B word to address each other, and that was like the popular replacement for it, or the inverse positive replacement for those two words.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot because I know you. Do you still or do you use? Well, they do the N and B words.
No, I mean, all right. I'm not gonna lie. I don't use the B word. No.
Okay.
But I have used the N word, but I can't recall the last time I have. Not in a while. So I'm on a streak of variations of brother.
Okay.
Darius, he's chomping at the bit.
Who is
Darius? He's like,
Darius? Oh, yeah.
Don't ask me. Please don't ask me.
Nah, I try to refrain from using the N word. I try to. So I have to use their names or a variation of their name. But I don't use the B word though. The B word is too demeaning. I mean, both the words are demeaning, but to call somebody like, especially like a black woman the B word, like that's a no. Like that's enough. And then to call my black brothers like the N word, that's a no as well. So like I try to refrain from it because like in today's time, using the N word like a sense of endearment. People say like we changed it, but you didn't really change it. So I'm trying to like get away from that mentality of it's a positive word. So I'm starting to use, like he said, variations of bro, brother. Saying king is kind of cringy. So like I try not to say that. It's kind of like a woman's thing. It's kind of weird. So like I might say like, if I see like, I'm like, all right, yeah, you a king, or like you gotta like kind of make it sound like your own version, cause like if you kind of say like how they say, it's weird, But I don't say sis though. That's kind of I don't say that. But I do say like my black woman, my queen. I say that queen. I say that. I say queen because queen is like I like to uplift my black woman. So yeah.
One of the things Lady is telling I have noticed about the N word and the B word is how they can flip. In fact, I remember, and yeah, I've just always noticed that about the word because one way it's good and then it can flip to being. And in fact, Lisa, would you just tell that thing that you did with the kids in the class one time, and with the B word and how it was? Can you remember that? We were talking about the acronyms, and anyway, you used it, and then she was ready to jump on you when you said, no?
It was a story I was telling.
Okay.
Because I don't use the word.
Oh, okay.
And I don't make jokes with it. I don't play with it. I don't use the N word and I don't use the B word. I call people by their names. unless those of you who know me, you hear me say baby. Hey, baby. And if I'm talking to one of my girls, I'll say, girl, girl. All right. And the tone, you know, it's sweet. It's sweet. But the B word story, there was a teacher, and the teacher was talking about the B word, and she was explaining that it wasn't okay to use. And one of the students says, it's an acronym. And each letter stands for something: behaving, intelligent, talented, something, something. Dr. Marshall, do you remember what it stands for?
No, but I the one I heard was being,
that's it. Being in touch with being in touch something. And so whatever it was, and the instructor was like, okay, because the young woman in the class pretty much checked her. You know how you guys can do. Talking to the teacher, oh no, that's the acronym, blah, 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 you know, be me, da, 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 da. And the instructor said, oh, okay. And so she went back to the board and she put something on the board, and then she said, and the girl said, whoa, hold on, wait. Like, well, what happened? I'm just being in touch.
That's the flip part. See? Yeah.
Okay, was that the story you were referring to, Dr. Martin?
That's the one. That's the one. That's the one, because I actually wrote I wrote a paper on that, and because I had to have an awakening with the M word, either the original version or the reclaimed version. And one of the things I'm working with young people, I noticed is that it went from this my to that's the same word they used when they got ready to kill him, right? It was the same word. I mean, it's the exact same word. And then I wrote this thing for the Huffington Post, and I talked about the same word that was used to lynch a Black man is the same word that's being used to kill a Black man in his own variation. So, our program was about alive and free. So, my thing has always been, I'm not taking any chances. And so and the other thing I noticed about the names we call each other is throughout history, whenever we wanted to move forward, we came up with a new term. So we went from color to, remember we went to Black, Mrs. Stella? It was such a big deal for us to call ourselves Black. It was amazing. We went crazy. We had this whole movement about Black is beautiful. I mean, we went crazy with it, the hair thing now was the hair thing then, like Black is beautiful. So and then we discovered our roots, and then we went to Afro American, and then we went to African American, but somehow the N word and the B word is still there. Like the original thing that it was intended to do was still doing it, but it became cultural. And it seems like if you fix the word culture to something, that's why I'm always confused when I hear the word culture, when I hear what is Black culture, because the things I think are Black and cultural, to me, ain't really Black and cultural. Anybody have any thoughts about that? Because I've heard things that's our culture. Or is everything that's in there our culture? I'm just curious. I hear that a lot from folks when they begin to explain some of the things that they do. And anybody got any thoughts on that culture thing? What?
I kind of use a Kendrick Lamar line. He said it in one of his songs. It's not really a quote. It's a general quote, but he uses it well. Ignorance is bliss. And that's pretty much what it is. I mean, I think I've heard that too. A lot of people, I've asked people like, why do you use it? And they're like, it's a part of our culture, but it's like, at the same time, the history of the word, regardless if it has an ER or an A, it still has a demonic history. It was used for like what it was used for. So I think it's just an excuse personally, and then it's just straight ignorance.
Anybody else want to say anything about that culture piece? Because I have an answer when they say that to me.
That there's a sense of truth in there. I think we we need to remember that there's not a lot of culture here. I've heard people say, I've watched it in TV shows where they have a Black person and the Black person is like, I don't have any history in this country. So culture and history is something that we have to create. And I do think it's okay if we cling on to onto the things that we know. Like in this country, we started off as slaves and now we have blah, blah, blah. You know, we look up to Beyonce and that's all we've got. On the topic of the N-word, I did want to say a few things. Words can be used in different ways. And I think that we have, in a sense, I know I have taken the word and used it as a form of empowerment. I use it with my friends. I use it with people I feel extremely close to. But I guess in a sense there are spaces where it's not needed or not necessary. It's something that I don't know, I wouldn't use like at 7 a.m. in the morning. It's something I have heard 7 a.m. in the morning over and over, like in high school. And I'm just like, man, I really don't want to hear this today. But it is something that I have used. And I hate when it's overused, like in a song, you know, every line is end with this, end with that. One other thing that I wanted to say was that the term, it has its history in this country, but what we forget, or maybe we don't know, is that there's so much history behind that term. We have the Spanish meaning of Black. This is also something that Kendrick Lamar said, I think, in one of his songs. But the word Negu, it means it means an Ethiopian king. So I know when I'm saying that, like, that's what I mean. I'm not talking about like, you know, the 1800 term. I'm talking about you being a king or queen, and that's what you are to me. And it's not like something I used to refer to as a peer. This is like a best friend, you know, that I feel extremely comfortable with. So I think that is something that we have to think about and remember and, you know, like recognize.
When you said that about, I know one of my early awakenings is that when I was in school, and we could move into what you were taught in school, but and I went to mostly all white schools, and you have experiences, I think. And I was always told that we were descendants of slaves when you talk about being in this country. And I always felt like I was a descendant of a slave. And it wasn't until years later that I read a book that corrected that. And the feeling I had with that, which was an entirely different thing, that, you know, and it was Malcolm X that did it for me. He explained to me that I wasn't a descendant of a slave, that I was descendant of a free people who were captured and enslaved. And that's a whole different mindset, you know, if you're Black, right? Because, I mean, even today, they'll say you're descended from slaves. And I was like, I tell them, no, I ain't descended from no slave. It's like I was born in original sin. That's the way I feel about it, you know, from that way. That I'm a descendant of a free person who was captured and enslaved. That this ain't my fault. You know, and many times you read these stories about people, you know, somebody who was kidnapped and then taken away somewhere, and their new life began there, and then that's like they, you know, but their life been there the whole life before that, and so they will think, you know, my life began here and my history begins here, and instead, but that whole concept of me was so freeing that I'm not a descendant of a slave, because to them, the way they put it, the slave was the worst thing that could ever happen to you, which it was. Slavery was the worst thing. And then I said, I'm free and I was enslaved by other people. So don't put that on me. And then, you know what that, Layla, what that made me want to do is like, well, what was it like when I was free? That was like, whoa, man. It was like, I'm gonna tell you this experience I had one time teaching 6th grade. Yeah, I did a geography lesson with the kids, and this is just a wonderful awakening. I did the kids, and I put a map, and we were talking about America, and then I said, well, you know, there was nobody here in America before, and it was only the indigenous people, which you call Native Americans. So I went to the Chinese kid in the class and said, where are your ancestors from? And he said, China. I went to the Filipino young person and I said, where's your people from? He said, the Philippines. And I went to the Russian kid, he said, Russia. So I went to black kid in the kid. I said, where are your people from? He said, Mississippi. I said, wait. Okay, let's start over again. I said, Mississippi is in this country. And I said, we just said everybody came here from someplace else. And I did it listen like 5 times, and every black person said Texas, Louisiana, they could not get out of this country until finally one young person whose name was Ashanti said the A word. And it was like, and I was just trying to show that everybody came from somewhere else. That was just an amazing lesson for me, that everybody in the class had an ancestral link to someplace. And ours, for all these kids in the class, and they were just normal kids, could not make the leap mentally that their folks had to come from. It had been so never mentioned, or the image was so forth. And no, that was very, very enlightening for me. So that's one thing I always drop on people, is that you're not descendants of slaves, you're descendants of a free people who were captured and enslaved. And that's a whole different mindset to carry around. Like, you were kidnapped, you were really kidnapped. You see these, and this is a terrible example of young women who are kidnapped and taken into, sex slavery. Well, you were kidnapped. That you are not guilty. They are guilty for what was done for you. That's the one tidbit I want to drop on. Lady Estelle, you want
Today is called human trafficking.
Yeah.
The N-word, it was never African people's word. Those who were forced to this country and then put to work in the tobacco fields were given that name. They were called the N-word. And Dr. Marshall talked about a cycle. It went from being the N-words, and it was the, however it's spelled. And then from the N-word to being colored, and from being colored to being Negroes, and from Negroes to African, to Black. I'm Black and I'm proud, to Afro-Americans, and then African American, back to being N-words. The word was never our word. It was a word that was assigned to a people that were enslaved, captured, enslaved, beaten, tortured, dehumanized, and decided that they will never be more than anything than what their enslavers decided. The B word, that I remember that acronym, being in total control of herself, that is the word that was assigned to a dog, a female dog in heat. So when you use the word, no matter how you feel, remember the history behind that word doesn't change. And it doesn't make that word better. The N-word is still an N-word. And it doesn't matter how sweet you say it. I don't know how you can say it sweet. And the B word ain't
Did we lose Mrs. Stell? Because she was teaching.
Yeah, that was a moment.
It's frozen.
There we go.
There you go. You're back. You're
okay,
back.
I'm just talking. And then all of a sudden it was frozen. Okay, so what was the last thing you heard me say?
No matter how sweet you say it, that's what I heard you say.
It ain't sweet. It's not a term of endearment, because the history is attached to the last sound in that word, and it's never gonna go away.
Here's a challenge here, folks. We have, I think, done a wonderful job of identifying those things we like about being Black. And at the same time, you've done an admirable job of identifying those things that we don't like about being Black. And we're existing in these dual worlds, right? And I think our challenge is to, as best we can, and I don't necessarily have the answer. We have all of us can come up with ideas about how, what we do about those things that we don't like about being Black, or not let those things we don't like about being Black diminish, hurt, take away from, tarnish those things that we do like. And that's why this discussion to me is so necessary, because if crabs in the barrel is really there, then that takes away from the brilliance and all the things that we're trying to do. And if there are forces pushing on us from the inside, from the outside, what can we do not to help those forces, as I say, colonial oppression, dim our light, dim our shine? And this is a struggle that's been going on since we hit here, right? So that's the challenge. With all the lists that you've given us, does anybody, colorism, I mean, that's huge. And it ain't new. Here it is, 2021, and we still talk about light skin, dark skin. I mean, come on now, right? I mean, go ahead, lady.
The issue of colorism is not limited to African Americans or Black people. It is in just about every culture. I mean, in the Latin American culture, the lighter the better. In the Asian culture, that pure white, that very, yeah. So that's just everywhere.
I discovered. I'm gonna do a show on this. I've discovered something I don't like because it don't make no sense to me. I want to do the show on the diaspora. You guys know what the diaspora is? Diaspora. We got problems getting along with, I've discovered, have any of you seen this? With people that look like me that come from Cuba and, and
I know Black.
Colombia and Nigeria. And I still can't figure that out, but I know there are reasons there. And like, what? I mean, they don't like none of us. So why in the world are we tripping? Well, see, I'm a logical person, right? You want to talk about that, Darius? Have you seen that? Experienced that?
I experienced it, but like a lot when the riots were going off, I don't know if you guys saw on the news about the Dominicans in New York and how they were like beating up like Black pregnant women. They were chasing them out the boroughs. It's just a lot of anti-Blackness with that. Latinos, if you are a darker Latino, you aren't really respected or loved by your family. There's actually a comedian named what's his name? He's an African, but he talks about that. He makes a joke, but he's talking real talk. He's like, I know Black. But he's like, yeah, here just like me. How are you not Black? He's like, I know Black. And then he's like, bro, like, what do you mean? And it's just like this, it's not ignorance, but it's just like this false identity that they want to portray. Like, you have Black in you, and it's okay to be Black. I don't get why you don't want to. Or like even the baseball player, Sammy Sosa, him bleaching his skin. I don't know if you guys know who Sammy Sosa is, but if you see the before and after pictures, you'd be sick. Like it's real. So everything that she's saying is becoming really rapid, like in today's time. So yeah, I know a lot about that.
Man, because you're the one here. You're from Ethiopia, right? Have you experienced any of that or seen any of that? Or I'm just curious.
I do think, yeah, it's weird, like being from Africa and then like seeing how other Africans treat like Black people from America. It's so weird because like my sister has a lot of like Ethiopian friends who are born and raised there, but they just are like, oh, I don't get it, or why are they doing this, like the Black Lives Matter movement, or they're just like, they're like anti-African Americans, and it's really weird because we're all kind of experiencing the same things. So I just personally don't get it.
Anybody else want to comment on that?
I think, oh my bad.
That's good, go ahead.
Thanks. I was gonna say that that other, like specifically in Africa, like African cultures over there are I wouldn't say just as messed up, but pretty messed up as far as like, say like their religion. Like after the great scramble for Africa, all these European countries coming to annex each of these different areas in Africa, it took away their religion, made to think that their ancestors were celebrating or like worshiping the devil, and that they had to convert to Christianity. And it's like when they get that stripped away and then they see what about to connect that to? But it's just the way that African Americans who were taken from like I was trying to say that they were just as messed up and confused as we were when we landed over here and had away from us. So, and then we get portrayed a certain way, like through like social media and other like television or something over there, and that's the only like idea that they have of us. Yeah.
So they have ideas about us and we have ideas about them.
Yeah, also say something about that. I have friends who are like Yoruba, Eritrean, Ethiopian, and like when I talk to them about this type of things, they're like, my parents told me like to watch out for African Americans. Like we're not supposed to kick it with y'all, none of that, because they see how you guys are portrayed on media, and they like, well, and my friends go to like a HBCU, so they like, we know the truth, but like our parents, our grandparents, our family, like they already know, like we're not supposed to even be doing that. Like Black Lives Matter, do not join that. Like you stay away from that. Basically, that's gonna cause trouble, and that's not what you're here for. And I think in a sense they just want their kids to be successful, and I'm not okaying it, but I think it's just like they don't want them to be around that. They like just stay in your studies so that you can be successful. You can bring money back to my family back over here, and we could just grind as far as a family. But as far as you trying to be political, like stay away from that. And I think that's a conversation that needs to be like held, especially like in like now, because like when I watch podcasts about like Ethiopians and whatnot, they talk about this and they say like a lot of the men, I know a lot of the women, they're all for Black Lives Matter, but a lot of the men are not, and they're like, well, we'll reap the benefits that you guys like do, but we won't identify as that. They identify as Ethiopian or Eritrean before they will identify as being Black, and I think that's like a big division amongst like Africans and African Americans. And that's something that really needs to be talked about because it's like, it's getting really bad now. Like, like in a sense, like with the whole Nigeria thing and SARS, we're all supporting that. But then it's like, if somebody like does something against like a Nigerian or any African person of descent, it's like a whole lot like just anti everything. It's a rabbit hole, and it's just, you can keep talking about this for days and hours, but it's just crazy. So yeah.
That's Darius, that's deep, because I'm thinking, if I'm African, Africa come from the continent, and I'm regarded as, a citizen of a particular country or of a particular tribe, and everybody's Black, and I have not been, or at least I don't think I have been, and I come over here and then I'm touched by the American view of Blackness. Like, be like, over there, I'm just Ethiopian. Over there, I'm just Eritrean. Over there, I'm just Yoruba. Right there, I'm just Igbo. Over here, I'm lumped in with everybody. So now, that must be, man, that's deep. I need more conversation about that, because it might be a shock to them when they come over and the cops are following them around like, you Black. No, I'm we need to have a diaspora talk. That's good. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, when you think about it too, like I remember like years ago when I was like in elementary school and middle school, most of the African kids in my school would be called like African booty scratcher, and like they'd be called so many names by other Black people. So when they experience that growing up, and then they see, Black Americans, now embracing their like their African roots and, dancing to African music, they're almost just kind of like, wait, you were just making fun of me and bullying me, but now you go, celebrating African culture. Now you're happy about being African. So I think like they see that now, and they're kind of just like, well, I don't want to be a part of, Black Americans in any ways, because they were really, made fun of and disrespected, just years back. So, but I think like just with Black Americans, like in general, the ones that really don't like identify themselves, like, I'm not African, da da da. Like, yes, you are. Like, we were Africans first. So, if they want to like be negative about it, I just feel like that's like self-hate in a way. You're just your own culture, your own tribe, your own roots.
And to say something, just last thing I'm gonna say, because I know I talk a lot, but I agree with what she said as far as like how Africans feel like they've been picked on, and I understand that we all got picked on as kids. Like, I mean, I would say maybe I made a couple Africans, I might have made them feel bad about for like their heritage or their culture and whatnot. I understand that, but I would say like at the end of the day, if you look at my hand, if you look at yours, we basically the same, bro. And at the end of the day, even though we might go tit for tat, we gotta come together. We gotta find something to come together with. And if you get pulled over and I get pulled over, 9 times 10, the same thing that happened to me is gonna happen to you because we look alike. So
That's true.
We just gotta like find some type of common ground, some type of middle ground. I mean, because this is like it's just getting out of control. Like she said, if you feel like you're not African, that is so fake. At the end of the day, we all African. We all come from that. So yeah.
So we're getting close to this is an incredible discussion. I'll take suggestions. How do we cut through a lot of the things we talk about? How do we, all the things that we don't like, because the things we like, we want more of that, right? And we want those things. How do we cut through any of the things you talked about and move to a better place? I'm just curious from each. I have my ideas, but I'd love to hear what each of you think about, how to move to a better place.
Sorry.
Uh-huh.
I would say just listen. Like, if anyone is speaking about something they feel like colorism or the mistreatment of Black women, or Black men, feeling like they can't speak or be vulnerable in certain spaces, just listen. Like, don't cut them off. Don't gaslight their experiences and what they're talking about. Just listen and make them feel like it is a safe space, and don't like make it seem like what they're feeling is invalid, because if they're feeling that way, it's probably because they really do, and they really do experience it. So I always try to like have that be known whenever I'm having these conversations, even like with non-Black people too, about the whole N-word thing, because whenever I speak to them about it, they're always the opposite, and we all know how those conversations go. So like, I would say just listen and just respect and understand what the person is talking about.
Okay, someone else. Your thoughts about how to move past, through, make things better. Yes, Kymber.
I would say, to tie in with just listening, opening up the conversation, being extremely open-minded and not closed off.
Okay.
To make an effective change, we have to be more open-minded with these topics, and a lot of these topics are taboo topics. So I think just being open-minded, having a conversation, and understanding there's so many different perspectives, but we have to get on one accord some type of way, shape, or form.
And can I throw a word in there, Kymber, if this fit? Can I say non-judgmental? Because can I add that to the open-minded? Because I know that I think that's a big part of not being judgmental as you hear things. Somebody else, your thoughts about how to move past some of these things we don't like. Go ahead, Jaylyn.
I feel like we have to accept who we are more, because people usually project their insecurities on others. Like, as an example, like, let's say you're colorist. I mean, if you were more comfortable in your skin, you wouldn't be judging other people for it. And it goes like the same for everything.
Comfortable with yourself.
Yeah.
Right. I like that. Okay. Somebody else.
I also think in general, just education, like if you don't know your history, then you can't know yourself. And I think that's why time and time again, we see the examples of Black Americans, making fun of African kids, or because we don't understand where we come from and we're not taught our history in our education system. So I think that plays a big role in ignorance. Period.
Okay, these are excellent suggestions.
Yeah,
Malcolm?
to tie into what Jyairrah just said, I was gonna say the exact same thing to look back and learn from what you were talking about what our ancestors did, and if they were so great, why aren't we trying to do those things now?
And also knowing that they weren't perfect, but maybe we have something to learn there. Okay. Right. All right, learn from the past. Somebody else. I'm writing all these down. Seriously. Yeah.
I think being open to addressing generational trauma, not just moving on, but understanding the past as well.
Okay. Going into that and just dealing with it. Right? Okay. Anybody else? Suggestions for
Markeyla and Sanae?
I'll go ahead. Yeah, basically just not being complacent. Like Audre Lorde once said, like, our silence won't protect us. So basically just being vocal and like really going for it and trying to make the change that we want to see, because otherwise it won't happen. So we have to get in our communities and share the knowledge with each other and have hard discussions. Otherwise we're not going to move forward. And definitely what y'all were saying about looking back at history, but then seeing how we can move forward using some of the tools they've already like built, and then just strengthening that.
All right. Whose turn? Go. This is I am actually writing these down.
To go off of that, I would say like we have to create more programs and like institutions to be there for the Black community, because we don't really learn much about our history, especially during school. We learn from like white perspectives and European. And so I feel like creating more programs will allow us to learn more about ourselves and our history and be able to educate us further to where we need to be.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think that we need to be more community-like. I find that as Black people in the Black community, we're the most divisive community out of every single race. If you're a dark-skinned woman, you're ugly. If you're gay, we don't want you. If you have 4C hair, you got bad hair. So all that type of stuff, I think, is our biggest downfall as a community. So I think someone mentioned it, but just listening to other people's problems, other people's issues, whether it be marginalized communities, queer people, dark-skinned women, stuff like that, or depressed Black people and what they're going through. So listening and just being aware that we can be like, together, but we've got to communicate and just listen.
Okay.
I've got 4C hair and I'm dark complected and I'm a woman. Woo!
Anybody else? This is wonderful. Absolutely. And suggestions are, I'll tell you what has helped me is I see everybody as, and there are certain words I cherish and that have taken me no matter where I've gone, whether it's been Nigeria or South Africa or Botswana or Thailand or Japan. But let me specifically put about the dark continent, the countries I've been to. Is my brother and my sister, everybody. That's the word that I use. I'll be, when I'm in Nigeria, I say my brother. It draws people in. It's an endearing word, but mostly it's family. It's family. And everybody I know, I don't care where I am. In fact, you go to other countries. I remember going to Jerusalem and, I'm sitting with an Arab, and the two things that we could coalesce around were family and food. So, everybody want to sit and have a meal and everybody want to talk about their family. So those words have allowed people us to have a shared thing. When I hit them with brother, when I hit them with sister, they have been very powerful openers for me. And rather than what keeps us apart, can bring us together. And therefore I'm able to have conversations you know, with just about anybody, folks who look like me and folks who don't look like me. And I need a door opener. I don't need it. I need something to put as an adversary. So that's just something that is helpful for me. I offer that to you. I remember, and this is a quick little story. I remember talking to a bunch of Bloods in LA, and I went down there to talk to them, and I was surrounded by them and their guns. And I didn't have a gun. And they said to me, man, don't you know who you are? You know, and we all got guns. Where your gun? I said, man, no, why am I have a gun? Y'all gonna kill me anyway. I can't kill all of y'all. And I said, well, why would I need a gun with my brothers? They was like, what? I mean, they was like, they thought I was some kind of like, it's like, you Martin Luther King? I said, no, I'm just Dr. Macho. But that's funny, but it was really a word that allowed them to, you know, move past all of their, whatever they had for, you know, I mean, so I offer that as one of the things that has helped, I think can help, because I see all of you as family, period. That's it, end of story. I will offer, I'm reading this book. Everybody knows I'm into this book, and Mrs. Stell's next. I love this book because I always want to learn and grow. Mrs. Stell has the book also, Lady Stell. The book is Cast by Isabel Wilkerson. Many of you may have read her first book, The Warmth of Other Suns. And this book is just, you know, always, it's Black History Month. So I've been telling everybody, you know, it's a good book to read. It's a good book to read. I think will definitely help with this discussion. I think a lot of the things that we have said tonight are framed by her very, very well. She's a brilliant writer. I've never seen it quite framed this way, but it's helping me just get a grip on what's been going on and continues to go on. I'll offer that to you also. And Lady Estelle.
And I'm going to say to you that we have been touched by your brilliance and your sharing and your willingness and your openness. So thank you for being open. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for thinking and being present and paying attention. And thank you for learning and applying everything that you know. Remember, you are Black, you are beautiful, and you are brilliant. You are uniquely and wonderfully made. You are perfect just the way you are.
And who said that it is all in you? I think that was one of the first things that we said early on. It is all in you. Layla, great to meet you for the first time. You are a junior, and a couple more years at USF, and then you will be flying off into. What do you want to do? I'm just Layla. Just curious. I know a lot of folks on here. What do you want to do moving forward?
My passion is really in writing, but I'm a computer science major, so IT, that type of stuff.
All right. Sanae, just met you. Go ahead. What do you want to do? What year are you?
I'm a first year at USF, and I'm an English major. I want to be like either an educator or a writer and something in that field.
Okay. You happen to know a couple we know, Michael Gregory. He's one of ours that we go there. Wonderful to meet you. You know, I got to tell Dr. Broussard and Dr. Harrison, thank you. Thank you. Malcolm, how's things going back at Morgan?
Oh, they're going great. Yeah, I just started circuits and differential equations. Yeah, I'm in this class with people that I've taken it like twice before, so I was a little intimidating, but figured I'd just stick with them, gather all their knowledge, and one shot the class. But yeah, I'm doing good, and I'm working virtually too, at the same time.
Oh gosh, like good for you! Wow.
Darious, how's it going at Clark?
Going pretty good. Started school, so happy to be back in school. Working as well, so just got back from work, so doing pretty good. Yeah.
Good.
And for all our Leadership Academy students, most of you are in high school, and you will be going, I think, I don't know all the schools you're going to, but I know they're good. I know some of y'all already got into school and got big money and that whole thing. So, like she said, you are brilliant, beautiful, And Black, thank you for tonight. I'm sure we will see each other again. And we are family. We are family. So if anybody mess with you, you just call Dr. Marshall. And we will take care of it all. Bree, you know, you've been with us for years. You are the baby girl who was grown up right before our eyes. And good luck on your journey with what you're doing right now. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Yes. Okay. We got to say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.